Hey, folks, here we are. We are live. It is Tuesday, August 25th. Man, it is really a great day. We're going to have a great discussion today about prosperity principles and personalities. In my training and my education in dealing with personalities, in my advanced certificates that I have received in understanding personalities, I always have a little thing when I explain that to people. I always say, I help people get over themselves. And sometimes they laugh. I hope you're laughing out there. But it's really our personalities sometimes are a hindrance or a detriment to our growth. And we're going to talk about that today. Before we start every day, again, we're going to start out today with prayers, just heartfelt prayers for people that have been affected by this COVID-19 stuff. It is sort of seems like it's leveling off. I don't know. But we need to send our prayers out for the loved ones that have been lost and for the people, the loved ones that have lost loved ones. So, just our prayers go out to everybody. Heal our land and get us behind in front of this COVID thing and get it behind us. So with that, let's get started. It's unique. Yesterday, we started to talk about uh, yeah, prosperity principles, and the first one is think, and in this realm of think, it really comes down to how you think about things. We talked about perspective. Your perspective is how you see life. Your perception is how you interpret what you see, and you can change your perception by reading and gaining new knowledge, meeting people, or visiting places. You physically go somewhere and experience something. That's basically how we primarily change our perception of things. And with that, you have to add in these personalities. So you have DISC. Now, there are other factions out there that talk about personalities, whether you're a lion or a raccoon or whatever you are. I learned at DISC. D is dominant, dictatorial, driver. They're about 10% of our society. The I personality are the inspirational people. I believe the majority of them live and work in California, in Hollywood. So that's the realm of that. And how do you tell that person? Well, if you go to a party and there's somebody standing in the corner and they got a crowd around them and you can watch them, they're just having a ball out there, that's most likely an I personality. They talk a lot. They capture people's imagination, and their Achilles heel is sometimes they don't listen, they don't follow through, and on and on and on. Well, the next one is the S personality, and those are the serene people. They're servants. They will do almost anything to help you. They will promise to do things so much that it's beyond their realm of doing it. So their Achilles heel is they promise more than they can deliver. And that brings me to the C personality, the cleric, the list maker. They carry a pocket holder, a pocket thing with all kinds of pens and pencils in it. These folks are the accountants of the world and maybe engineers. They are precise. They make a list. They prioritize the list. And sometimes their Achilles heel is they never get done making the list to actually get started. So that's the C personality. So as we think of that, and we think of decisions, now let me put it in another perspective for you. In other words, 4 people walk up on a burning building. This building is a big apartment building and it's on fire. The D personality walking up would immediately start giving direction and orders to people. He would most likely get the fire out first. The S person, they would walk up sheepishly with their hands in their pocket and say, What can I do? How can I help? They are just servants. They want to serve people, and that's the way they are. The C personality would walk up and they have a clipboard with a tablet in it, and they start immediately making a list of what you have to do to get the fire out. And then they have to prioritize the list and on and on and on while the building is burning down. So that's extreme, and I understand that, but that's their Achilles side, the worst case scenario. They can't, they find it very hard to make decisions, okay? S people are easy to talk into anything. Those are the people that in sales, if they buy something, they call back tomorrow and cancel the order, okay? And the D personality, they don't even want to talk to you. When you meet a D person, you got 10 seconds to open the door and get into their head and get some kind of communication going. Now that brings me to the I. The I person would walk up and here's this big fire and he would say, well, who's got the marshmallows and the hot dogs, man? We got a cookout brewing here. So you get the idea? And those personalities, we are all parts of those personalities. If you want to do some research into your own personality, send me a text or an email, and I will hook you up and give you and make sure that you take an assessment. It is not a right or wrong answer. If you really want to learn about yourself and how to perform better, to become a better you, to thine own self be true, you have to understand yourself before you can understand other people. And I have assessments. The short assessment, which is 4 or 5 pages, gives you basic knowledge, is like 12 or 15 bucks. And then you can expand that for like $60 and get a 60-page report that literally breaks it down and tells you and teaches you how to deal with other people that have different personalities than yours, because, you know, you have to be aware of that. My example yesterday I gave with Mr. Castellone, you know, he was a D personality and I'm sort of a D personality. And I could have went at him, you know, like, you know, but it wouldn't have worked. So I had to apply to his other side that is part of his personality, is they like to help people. And so that was how I was able to use that knowledge. You know, it's just like I talked about the 2 greatest books that have had a bigger impact on me than anything else. And that was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill and How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. That book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, are mastery of people skills. And success by definition, you know, it is 3% product knowledge and 97% people skills. No matter what you do, people skills are what helps you go forward and gain ground on where you really want to go. So I would highly recommend those 2 books. And then I also have Personality Profiles, which is another book that takes, it's a book and it takes these 4 personalities, breaks them apart, because each of us are a mixture of those personalities. You are not one personality. You are a mixture of those personalities, and they impact on how you perform, how you make decisions about things. And the same thing applies to the principles of prosperity. You know, thinking is a hard thing for people to overcome, because people that are adults, a D personality, an I personality, a C personality, more than anything else, would figure they know it, and they would succumb to Nelson's arrival syndrome, is what they would succumb to. You know, I already know all about that. You know, on and on and on. So you have to get people to want the information. You have to get people to want to know the truth, because a lie repeated often enough is easily believed. The truth takes work, because opinion is what drives everything. And everybody has an opinion. And these opinions, again, we're back to these personalities and the prosperity principles of think and then see. Well, if your mind is closed, you're going to find it hard to be able to see something different than what you already perceive. Back to perception again, and how this all comes together. So you have to, first of all, you have to make some conscious decisions in what you do. That sounded like I was inebriated. Decisions on what to do. You know, we were talking earlier in the office here about people and 401ks. You know, when I lay out the 401k or IRA or those kind of things that are automatically taken out of their paycheck at work. So that's a convenience that helps with discipline that we all struggle with. And I want to make sure that I have money in retirement. And the easiest way is to get my employer to take it out of my paycheck and put it in this plan. Now, the only problem with that is you remember the 5 elements: risk, taxes, regulation, inflation, and depreciation of the money. So you got to think of those 5 things. And you have to think of the 4 rules of the financial institutions. I want all your money. I want more ongoing. I want to keep it forever and give back as little as possible. What financial products are promoted to us that maximize the financial institution's profitability? It's 401ks, 403bs, 457 plans, and IRAs. Those plans, because when I put my money there, I get, you can't have your money. You're not 59 and a half years old. There's a 10% penalty, and you have to pay the taxes. Well, you have to pay the taxes regardless. No matter what you do, you still have to pay the taxes. But here's the question. Are taxes in the future going to be higher, the same, or lower than they are today? And we have all, when I started 44 years ago in this financial business, I sold individual IRAs to people. And you know what? You're going to be in a lower tax bracket when you get to retirement. Well, here I am at 70 years old, and I'm not in a lower tax bracket in my life. And I find very few people are in a lower tax bracket. Now, why is that? Well, you have to step back and let's look at the tax code that existed 40 years ago, because there were 15 marginal tax brackets back in the 80s, the early 80s, the late 70s, when I started in this business. There were 15 marginal tax brackets. And if I got a pay raise at work in the old way back then, I got paycheck and I got less money because the pay raise was minuscule, but it pushed me into the next percentage and I took home less money. So my pay raise didn't give me anything. I actually lost spendable money because of those progressive tax rates. There were 15 marginal rates for individuals and 13 marginal rates for corporations. So if I made a little bit more money, it pushed me into the next percentage and I actually netted less money out of my paycheck. See, this is a big game. You know, when you think, and I'm not a baseball fan, but if I'm at the baseball game, and I've been to a few of those, there are all kinds of strategies going on that field. And you have to be aware of all of them in order to truly understand baseball. You know, the first baseman, the second baseman, shortstop, third base, the catcher behind the plate, the pitcher. And they have communication signals on the batter coming up is a big hitter. And so we want to walk him. So the catcher's going to give a signal and we're going to try to walk him with 4 balls and get him on base because the next guy coming up has a low handicap. And so we have a better chance, a better percentage chance of striking out the next batter. Let's let this guy get on first base, walk him to first base, because the next guy, I have a greater probability of striking him out. So that's what life is all about. It's about strategic planning and stepping back and understanding all the pieces of the game and all the players. Nelson calls it all the actors on stage. We are all actors on a stage. And what is the play about? Everybody's play, they're all out there. Here they are. Everybody's play has a different planned outcome. Okay? You know, whether it's the banker, the candlestick maker, the tax accountant, we all have an agenda. And the things we do and how we do them feed that agenda. Our agenda. That's what we hope for. And along the way, sometimes we have to make adjustments and get around that. But as I look at financial decisions, let's think about that now. IRAs and 401ks. 401k at work, that's the biggest place where most people save their money. Number one that I hear from people is it's convenient and out of sight, out of mind. They take it out of my paycheck because if I got it in my paycheck, I would probably spend it and I wouldn't save it. Okay, well, what does that mean? That is a discipline problem. Now let's step back and look at your personality and how can we overcome that? Because if you believe taxes are going to be higher in the future, why are you putting money away, not paying the tax today and postponing paying the tax until some future time where you're going to pay more tax than you would pay today? Why would you do that? Well, because I don't know any other way. I don't know. Well, that brings me to my blueprint that I'm creating that is going to give you all the answers to that question. And it's going to show you how to create the same kind of discipline of having it taking out of my pay, but I want to be in control of the money. I want to be in control. I want to position the money out of the sight of Willie Sutton government. You remember Willie Sutton, the bank robber? Well, the government is forced themselves. They have not only painted themselves into a corner, they have removed the floor, and they have no way to get out of where they're at but come after you and I more taxes. You know, it's just like right now, the politicians. I mean, I don't like politics, but I don't know about you. Are you going to vote for a guy that wants to raise the taxes $3 trillion and tax everybody more? I'm not voting for that guy. I don't know about you, but I'm not voting for a guy that's telling me up front he's going to raise the taxes. So we have to think so we can see the truth, the reality of what we're looking at. Now, I'm going to cut it off. We're 20 minutes in today. And tomorrow we're going to get into measure. We're going to do personalities. We're going to talk about measure. How does my personality fit into that? Remember, for $15 or whatever, I can get you a personality assessment. The personality profiles book, I think, is $24.95. You can get it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. It's out there, or you can buy it through me. But I want to help you make a difference. It's about touching 1 million lives, folks. It's not about selling you something. Yeah, people buy a lot from me because I help them implement the plan that they want. This is about you, folks. You need to get my book, The Family Money Farm, the CFO Project. Get it at Amazon, Barnes and Noble. You can email me. You can get it through me. And here it is, okay? I can set it up, PayPal, credit card, I'll send it to you. And if you order it through me, I'm gonna send you a signed copy, an autographed copy of my new book. Now, beyond that, you can also go to cfo-project.com, right above my head here, cfo-project.com, put in your name and email address. I don't sell them, okay? It will put you in line. You'll get a weekly newsletter, a one-pager, and a newsletter every month. All this stuff that I'm talking about, you need to have reinforcement ongoing. This is an educational process that it just takes a decision to go through. Do you really want a different future than what you're looking at now? Maybe your future looks bright and rosy. Here it is, okay? But does it have certainty attached to it? Is it guaranteed in any way? Are you certain? You have 100% certainty that your retirement plan is going to be great, or do you have some doubt? Remember the rules: save 20% of our income. Have 50% of our annual gross income in cash accessible. Number 3, no consumer debt. That's what I'm here to help you with, folks. We need to create strategic plans with activities to help you get to that place that you want to get to. Okay? When you go there, I'm going to ask you to invest $47 to get 4 books and a 1-hour video. Now, I don't know how many have got, I haven't looked at the numbers yet. I don't know how many of you, we posted the link the other day for the 1-hour video. Here it is. It's only going to be there for a while, then it's going to go away. So you have an opportunity to watch that 1-hour video. It will change your life completely in every way, shape, or form, in the way you think about saving for retirement and money and debt. With that, God bless. I'll see you tomorrow at noon, and we are going to continue our journey this week on prosperity economics, prosperity principles, and personalities. So God bless. We'll see you tomorrow.